Hello everybody, once again this is G, and today I want to show you this new contraption I made, which I like to call the most dangerous farm. And you can kind of see what's going on here and why this is the most dangerous farm, because if you look over here, we got all these Pokeshells over here, and if there is ever an egg in here, they're just gonna pounce on whoever is down here. And if you look down here, we have a hospital set up just for that, for the exact reasons. So definitely a lot of work hazards in this particular farm, but it just wouldn't be fun otherwise, I think. And a couple of concepts I want to show you that I used to build this is, I think you might have seen this particular setup before, where you can actually use these doors to essentially squeeze critters that are 2 tiles tall, and they will switch from standing into like the falling mode, and they're going to fall down. Now you see the egg fell down here. Fact of the matter is, the reason these particular doors are set up here is to make sure the eggs are removed from this room as quickly as possible. We don't want this room to remain too dangerous for too long, otherwise the dupes are just going to be incapacitated all the time. So a couple of ways to deal with it. One is you're going to have these pneumatic doors that are just going to let the eggs through. And 2, you're going to have these airlocks here for anything that needs to like stand on a solid floor, because you can't build like grooming stations and stuff on top of the pneumatic doors. So you need something else, and that's what these mechanized airlocks are for. And the way they're controlled is basically this checks to see if there's any eggs. So if eggs are above 0, and it's in this particular area, and in this little room, if the eggs are above 0 as well, it's going to open these doors. You can see the automation here, but I'll get back to this in a second. The main thing that makes this whole thing work, and why we have so many Pokeshells, and in this particular section they're not overcrowded, while in this particular section they are, is because we have this kind of open-ended room. So that's the main event here. If you look here, this room is effectively open-ended, and we're just using this little liquid lock here, and it's kind of vacuum on this side. Whereas on this end over here, it's a closed room, and it's got grooming stations in it. And if you look at these particular Pokeshells, unlike many other critters, Pokeshells, they move back and forth on a flat surface, pretty much. So if you think about it, this room is only 4 tiles wide, and this room is about 8 tiles wide. So in theory, they spend about 2/3 of their time in the non-overcrowded state, and about 1/3 of their time in the overcrowded state. And when they're overcrowded, they effectively don't reproduce. But when they're in this area, they do reproduce, as long as they're not glum. And that requires some grooming. But anyways, over here, we have something a little bit different, I think. And this is a way to, instead of using the regular evolution chamber, we have a magma chamber here instead, and that really takes care of business for these Pokeshells, because you can look at the temperature, it's about 2,000 degrees. There it goes. And then this guy was going to collect that and put it in a rail, and this is just going to go down here, get dropped into this rock crusher, and gets taken care of. Over here we have kind of a little pen for the spawns. And this kind of is a distributor that checks if there's too many Pokeshells in this area, it will not close this door up here, and that will prevent grown Pokeshells from falling down. And the little Pokeshells can't get up here because they cannot get up on the ledge. So this essentially sorts the little from the big ones. Over here, the Pokeshells will venture into this area if this door is open. And it is open if there's too many Pokeshells. And they will venture into this area as well, but this door is not going to close. And so they'll go here, nothing's going to happen. They go back, this door is going to close. This door is going to close up here. They're going to get forced down here in a falling state. And then they're going to get cooked. Now up here, what I want to show you is we've got this gantry that I adapted, because I was looking to do it differently than this door method. And gantries have this very interesting property where this section is solid, but this part over here behaves kind of like It's sort of something in between of ladders, but ladders on which critters can walk as well. Because normally critters cannot walk on ladders. But this section behaves kind of like a ladder. Because if it's retracted, they will automatically fall through. Whereas pneumatic doors, if they're open, they will not automatically fall through. They need something on top of them to be forced. So, for small critters, to force them down, you can't use this particular mechanism because you won't be able to put a critter sensor inside. You can have the doors here as well, and that will force them down. But then you can't check how many critters are inside. So, I use the Gantry instead. And basically it checks to see if there are no dupes here. And if there's at least one critter. So as long as it's below 1, meaning 0, this stands extended. But if it's not below 1, meaning it's above 0, this is going to open. As long as there's no dupes. If there's a dupe, this is not going to operate. And the way I rigged this mechanism is we got a little bit of automation going on here. First of all, we've got this AND gate. So if there's a critter here, this is going to go to red. And this entire green chain over here is going to go to red. Gantry will open and the door will close, getting the critter to fall down. And if there's a dupe here, then this section is going to go to red. But this part over here will go to green. Will remain green. So it's going to maintain the door and the gantry in the same position. But it will not be affected by critters anymore. So this is a way to kind of hold the door and the gantry in the same place, and the mechanism will not be affected by critters. And when the dupe leaves, then essentially the critter sensor will become active. There's probably a better way to do it than this way, but that's the way I did it. Finally, up here we got the incubators and all the eggs, and there's like an enormous amount here. It's over 100 eggs. They just get piled up over here, and slowly they get run through the incubators and lullabied and then sent down here to grow up essentially. Once they grow up, they get filtered to either join everybody else here in the club or get sent over here to the incinerator. And then we can collect the lime from there. Now, here we got Gossman. He's already hugging it. Everything's collected automatically and sent on conveyor rails. So if we look over here, we got conveyor rails for eggs being sent up here, and then for conveyor rail for edibles, such as meat. For instance, if something happens to turn into meat here, it gets collected. And if we got eggshells, it gets collected. And if there's sand, anything like that, basically it gets collected. Same thing over here, and then gets sent down to here. And any eggs get collected, and then they get sent up to here to be incubated. And then all the sand and all the lime gets dumped to the outside. Oh yeah, this refinery over here, it just basically reheats this magma. And it runs at about 3%, more or less. Anywhere from 1 to 3%, depending. Yeah, so you can refine your steel while cooking these Pokeshells. Because I don't think you can get rid of them any other way quickly. Yeah. And then down here, we got... Well, got a bit of a hospital over here. As I explained, that's what makes this the most dangerous farm. Ashken's going to be good to go pretty soon. So, see, everything is okay over here as long as there's no eggs. But if there's an egg here and it sits here too long, it's going to get pretty bad. But very quickly the egg gets removed. So these guys, they do get hurt and they recover. And then they get back to work. And this whole thing is cooled by a water loop. I just kind of mocked up this water loop over here and just put a turbine and an aqua tuner. This doesn't run very much, just like hardly ever. So it's not an issue. And over here we got a little egg counter. This is available and spaced out. So far there's been 124 eggs that just kind of went through this and it got dropped down here. Okay, so you can see here, here's a Pokeshell spawn, so check this out. There he comes. Okay. It's still undecided. Let's speed it up. Alright, see? Detected. Door closes. This opens. And bam. Joins the population over here. And then they just stay here until, you know, they grow up, and then they can be sorted afterwards. You get more lime this way. If you just collect these guys instead of waiting for them to grow up, you don't get as much lime. So this kind of helps to maximize that. We got a feeder over here. Oh, this is crazy. Let's just see how many there are. So there's about 35 in this room, and we have it set to if it's above 32, which kind of fluctuates a little because they walk back and forth. But roughly speaking, if there's above 32, then this door is going to be inoperable. And so no more will be dumped into here. So let's have a look actually at the automation. Once again, we've got this control over here, checks if there's any eggs, and then opens the doors down here. And then ideally you want to have these pneumatic doors anywhere you can, so the eggs just fall right through. But if you can't, you're just going to have this automation with mechanized doors. And then over here, this just controls... Alright, had to fix this wire over here. That was incorrect. Now it's better. So anyways, if this is above 32, then everything is green and it's held open. But if the number of critters drops below 32, then these doors can become either open or closed, depending on if there's a critter in here. So as long as this is not green to hold the doors open, then if there is a critter in here, this door will operate and drop the critters down. But yeah, it seems to be working pretty well. Got, if anything, this is kind of an overkill because it consumes about 5 kilos per second of polluted dirt. And you can tell that because this loader over here has 24% uptime. And in here, the amount of Pokeshells is about, I think it's about 50. It's about 40 at any given time here. About 2/3 and about 1/3 here. Yeah, quite a bit. We have about 50 to 60 Pokeshells. Oh yeah, you see what's going on here? Ow, that is painful. Well, that's okay. See, sometimes they just get stuck and they just go on this rampage. But not to worry. Yeah, Gossman's got saved all better. So yeah, that's all I have for you right now. This has been Greasy Hammer, and if you like this video, then smash that like button and subscribe if you'd like to see more. And I'll keep working on the next video. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.